Hello beautiful people, it is Jada Jo. Welcome to or back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because there was a point in my life where I genuinely wasn't sure if I would ever be able to make a video like this on the other side of eating disorder recovery. And I am just so overwhelmingly grateful and proud of myself for getting to the place that I'm at today. I do want to start with a trigger warning because I will be talking about my eating disorder and my recovery during this whole video. And if you think that there's a chance that that might be triggering for you and not helpful to your journey, please click off. All I want is for you to do what is best for you in your journey. But without further ado, let's talk because I'm so excited to talk with you guys about what we're going to talk about in this video. So let's get into it. So the other day I was journaling about recovery and just how glad I am that I chose recovery and that I followed through with it, because there were so many days where I wanted to throw in the towel and it felt like the easier decision to throw in the towel and not have to fight every single day to try to get better. But I'm so glad that I never gave up, and I'm so glad that I pushed through those hard days, because my life is 100 times better now because I chose recovery. In my journal prompt, I came up with 20 reasons why you should choose recovery, why I'm so glad I chose recovery, 20 ways my life has improved since I chose recovery. I just wanted to share my 20 reasons with you guys because I think that it might be helpful for people. I remember going through recovery and watching every single video on YouTube about people that were struggling with an eating disorder or had struggled with an eating disorder in the past, because I mean, I felt so alone. I knew no one in my close circle or even in my hometown. I didn't know anyone that came out and told other people that they were struggling with an eating disorder. And so I would watch all these videos just trying to not feel so alone, trying to get some validation from people saying, you know, I struggle with that too. I see you, I hear you. And so the fact that I might be able to be one of those videos that someone that is struggling with an eating disorder gets to watch and feel better about themselves by watching makes me so happy, because I do want everyone that is struggling with an eating disorder to know that they're not alone, and there are so many people, so many more people than you realize that are struggling with the same exact things as you. Some people don't even realize that they're struggling. Other people choose to struggle alone. And all in all, I just want you to know that you're not alone and that recovery is the best choice, even though there are days when it feels like the hardest choice in the entire world. But let me give you 20 reasons why you should choose recovery. Number one, these are in no particular order. This was just me writing everything that was coming to my head, no particular order. Number one, I put energy. I can't even begin to explain how tired I felt during my eating disorder. I was tired all of the time. And then right when I would eat, when I would allow myself to eat, I would get this burst of energy for, you know, a very short amount of time, and then go back to being really, really tired and taking a million naps and sleeping through the night plus more, and just always being so tired. And that made everything feel like such a burden. No matter what I was doing, it felt like it was so much work because I was just so tired and so hungry. I have so much more energy now, and it's consistent. It's not just a burst after eating and then right back down the slope. No, it's so much more consistent because I'm eating consistently and I'm giving my body the fuel that it needs, and I have so much more energy to take on life, and it's so great. Number two, consistency in my overall mood / happiness. Again, consistency, because during the eating disorder that I went through, everything it felt like in my life was just so up and down. My mood was all over the place. Again, right after I would eat, I would get this burst of happiness and I would be in a good mood for just a little bit. And then I would go back to being really rude to everyone around me and just being in the worst mood ever because my body was so hungry. And now it doesn't have to be like that. Absolutely, I still have bad days. Absolutely, I can still be moody, especially when I'm on my period. I still get very moody. but overall my hormones have balanced out in a way that makes it so that my mood is so much more consistent and not erratic and just all over the place, because that's not fun to be around, you know, other people being around me when I was just up and down. They had no idea what to expect, and that's also not fun to experience yourself, because I couldn't predict what mood I was going to be in. It was just, let's see what happens today, and most of the time it was in a really bad mood and I was rude to everyone. So that's another reason to choose recovery. Number 3, heal and form relationships. So I definitely put a strain on a lot of the relationships in my life during my eating disorder. I pushed so many people away. I put a strain on my relationship with everyone in my family because I pushed them all away, and I didn't want them to know what was happening with me, and I didn't trust them with anything, and I always thought that they were judging me, and just so much negativity went into all my relationships because of my eating disorder. And through recovery, I was able to heal these relationships so much more because I was able to trust other people. I was able to open up to them. I was able to be in a better mood, so I treated other people better. And also I was able to form new relationships because I was putting myself out there again, whereas during my eating disorder, I was pushing everyone away. I didn't want anyone to know what was going on. I didn't want anyone to see what I was doing to myself, so I just pushed everyone away. And now I'm able to actually put myself out there and meet people and form relationships without worrying about food getting in the way, because that's not a factor in my relationships anymore. Number 4, social events. You know, if you're struggling with an eating disorder, that social events bring so much anxiety because oftentimes you don't know what food is going to be there, and that brings you a lot of anxiety because you stress over what you're going to put into your body instead of just going to the social event for the social event and to be social with other people. It's all about the food. But a piece of food just dropped onto my tongue, and I really hope that that was not in my teeth for this entire intro. Dear Lord, please say that that food was not in my teeth that entire time. We're going with it. If it was, it's staying in, so I hope you enjoyed that. Social events are so much more fun now. I can actually go to social events. I still get a little bit of anxiety, but it's not because of the food. It's because I get a little anxious when I am around a lot of people. But it no longer has to be stressing about what food I'm going to put into my body at these social events. I can actually go and just be present and not have to worry about that. And social events become so much more fun. Number 5, focus on other things that you're passionate about. This one has been so huge for me because I felt like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I enjoyed during my eating disorder because my entire life was focused on health and fitness and food, that I couldn't actually learn who I was or do other things that I was passionate about. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't have anything other than sports and exercising and eating healthy that made me who I was. That was all I was, and that's all anyone knew about me. And ever since recovery, I have found so many passions that I am passionate about, and I changed my major to be something that I'm super passionate about, as opposed to something that had to do with nutrition, because I thought that that was my whole life and that there was nothing else in the world that I could possibly do for the rest of my life. But now I found things that I'm passionate about, and I'm so much more excited for life. I want you guys all to feel this. Choose recovery. I want you to feel this. I want you to feel the passion that I have for life now, ever since recovery. Number 6, consistent periods. I didn't get my period until really late because of my eating disorder, and I still remember the day that I got my period. I was so excited because that was a huge marker, and that was a huge indicator that my body was healing and that my body felt safe enough to carry a baby, and that I wasn't in starvation mode anymore, because when I was in starvation mode, my body did not get my period. And I just remember my nutritionist always asking me, did you get your period yet? Did you get your period yet? And I always had to say no, no, no. And I remember the day that I finally got to walk in there and say I got my first period, and she was so excited for me, and my mom was so excited for me, and it was a good day. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like that day, the day they first get their period, because that means that they have to bleed every single month for many, many years to come. But that was such an exciting day for me, and ever since then I've been able to maintain consistent periods because my body feels safe enough. It knows I'm going to give it the fuel and protect it and nourish it the way that it would need to have kids. And I do want to have kids when I'm older, and eating disorders can affect your period to the point where some people aren't able to have kids. And so that was a huge motivator for me to continue to recover, because I wanted to have kids in the future. That's why that's number 6, because that was such a big motivator for me. Huge motivator for me. Number 7, not having others worry about you. So one thing that I really didn't like during my eating disorder is that the people around me were all worried about me, which I understand why they were. I would have been worried about me too, but I hated the fact that that light was on me and that people were worried about me all the time and, you know, looking at me every time I was eating to make sure I was eating enough. And just, I didn't like being in that spotlight for that reason, if that makes sense. And I didn't like the fact that I knew my parents were constantly worrying about me. I didn't want them to have to worry about me. I really wished that I could just be in this little bubble where no one could see me and I could just continue to do my disordered eating patterns every single day. I'm very glad that that wasn't a possibility because I was forced to get the help that I needed to be in the place that I am today. But I'm just saying, at that time, I hated being in the spotlight and I wish I could just disappear and live my life on my own because I thought that everyone around me was judging me and making it so much worse when in reality they were just worried about me because they loved me. And I just very much enjoy that now they don't have to worry about me, you know? Like, I'm doing good and I'm glad that everyone knows that I'm doing good and they don't have to worry about me anymore. 8, you can help others with similar struggles, including friends. So one thing I've really enjoyed about recovery is that even if my friends aren't struggling with an eating disorder, most of the friends that I am around do struggle with some sort of negative body image or just believing in the lies of society. And it's been such a great role for me to take on as someone that has recovered from an eating disorder and gone to therapy talking about all these different topics, that I'm able to be a support to my friends when they are getting in those ruts and they are believing the lies that society tries to tell them and they're not feeling enough. I can offer them advice as someone that has gone through therapy and has learned so much about these topics. I can be that support to them, and I've really loved being on the other side of this so that I'm able to provide support to other people as opposed to other people having to provide support to me. Now I can be a light to other people because of what I've been through, and that is just so beautiful to me. I love turning my struggles into something positive, and that has been one way that I've been able to do that, is by knowing that because I went through that struggle, I am now able to help other people and be a light to other people and motivate other people to do the same. And that's just so beautiful to me. Number 9, learn to not believe what society tries to tell you. So one of the greatest gifts of going through recovery and going through therapy for so many years is that I was able to debunk so many myths that society was trying to convince me of every single day, and a lot of lies that I believed. I was able to really question them with my therapists and my doctors and understand that so much of it just comes from society wanting to make money off of our insecurities, and none of it comes from source and none of it comes from God. And it's just been such a blessing to be able to be on the other side of things, being able to question those false ideals that I'm hearing on media, and I know that so many of my friends are falling for. Now it's about what is best for me. It's not about how I can please society, and I think that it will help me for the rest of my life, because no matter what age you are affected by media and society. And even my parents struggle with the same things that kids my age struggle with in that regard. And so I just love that I have been given some of these tools to help me to cope with that for the rest of my life. 10, confidence. Okay, so when I first started recovery, I remember being so worried about gaining weight. I wanted to be smaller. I didn't want to be any bigger. And so weight gain was a really scary thing for me, even though it was the best thing for me. And I'm so much healthier now that I gained weight. And I was so worried that by gaining weight, I would just hate the way that I looked. And I was so worried that I would be so much more insecure the more weight I gained, when really it was the opposite. I was so insecure at my lightest weight. Probably the most insecure I've ever been in my entire life was when I weighed the least amount of weight. As I started to gain more weight, I started to gain more confidence, because the confidence wasn't about what I looked like. It came from me knowing I was doing what was best for me, and that I was choosing to recover and choosing to be healthy, even if my version of health is not what is portrayed on social media as the most ideal version of health. That didn't matter to me anymore. It was about what was actually healthy for me and what was best for me, and that gave me so much confidence knowing that I was making these choices and taking control of my life again. And I'm so much more confident now than I've ever been in my entire life. Hallelujah. Number 11, mind clarity. There is a science behind the fact that when you are in starvation mode, you don't have as much mental clarity, because you have to fuel your brain just like you have to fuel your body. And when you're starving yourself, you are a little foggy in the brain. you don't act like yourself, you can't think straight. And that absolutely happened to me, and I have so much more mental clarity now because I'm not always hangry and reactive to everything that everyone says. I'm actually able to control my emotions and think clearly and think rationally. And also just in school, if you're focused on what you're gonna eat next, you're not able to focus on your homework, you're not able to focus in class. There's absolutely no way because your mind is elsewhere. And now I'm able to actually be present, sit in class and listen to what is going on, even though online school this past year made it very difficult to stay focused. But ever since eating disorder recovery, so much more mental clarity and ability to focus. 12, enjoy all the food that you love. I know that might sound obvious, but during the peak of my eating disorder, I convinced myself that food was solely fuel, and food was only to be used to hit my macronutrients and to eat a certain amount every single day just so that I could build muscle, just so that I could look a certain way, and it had nothing to do with anything else. And that's just not true because food is so much more than just the calories that are in the food. Food brings people together. Food is culture. Food is something that you're able to form memories around. And I'm just so grateful that now food has taken on this new role in my life where it can actually be a positive experience and something that I'm really enjoying with other people and able to experience in a new light. It's just so freeing and so enjoyable to be able to sit around a table with my family and enjoy a dinner with them without stressing. I can actually hold conversation while I'm eating and form memories around the food that we're eating and enjoying together as a family, as friends, as whatever. It's so beautiful. 13, be able to relax more and live in the present. I've used the word present a lot already in this video, but presence is so important. Who wants to constantly live in the future? Who wants to constantly live in the past? No one. All we have is the present, and when you're constantly focused on what you're going to eat next, you're not able to focus on what's actually happening right in front of you. And I think that I lost so much time with people that I loved focusing on when I was going to eat next, what I was going to eat next, and that occupied my entire existence. And that's so sad. And now I'm able to actually relax a little bit and know that when I'm hungry, I will eat and it's all gonna be okay and I don't need to stress about it. I know that that might sound so simple, but that is so huge for me. I wasn't able to do that for years. Just exist without stressing constantly. Like, that is such a privilege that I never even realized was a privilege until I got to feel what this feels like. It's such a beautiful feeling. Choose recovery. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful and so happy that I'm here. Be able to go on spontaneous adventures. This was important for me because that's something that I enjoy to do, and I knew that I wanted to be able to travel and go on adventures with my friends without having to plan a million hours in advance because I needed to know what we were going to eat. I needed to look up all the restaurants that we were going to eat at, and I needed to pack food. Whatever it was that caused me to not be able to do spontaneous things. I now want to travel the entire world, and I'm not stressed about what I'm gonna eat when I go to these places because that's not what it's about. That's not what the experience is about. And I'm finally able to realize that and take a step back and say, it's not about the food, Jada Jo. It's not about the food. It's about memories. It's about existing. It's about living. It's about experiencing. I'm just so excited for life now. 15, I'm able to model a healthy relationship with food for my kids. I really want my kids to grow up with a mom that has a healthy relationship with food. That's just very important for me because I do think that it can have such a big impact on the relationship that my kids have with their food, and I obviously don't want them ever to experience what I experienced. I don't want them ever to have to go through what I went through, and I'm just very, very glad that now I can be a model and a support system to them as they try to navigate their way through diet culture and everything that society throws at them in terms of eating and food. 16, movement has become so much more enjoyable. I found my love for movement again for the right reasons. During my eating disorder, the only reason that I exercised was to burn calories and to build muscle because I wanted to look a certain way. It was never about making my body feel good. It was never about doing things that brought me joy. And now I can say the exact opposite. I'm not exercising to look a certain way. I exercise because I love it. so much. I finally found my love for movement again, and I exercise because I want to show love to my body and I want to make it feel good, and now I do movement and exercise that makes me feel good, as opposed to what I think I need to do to look a certain way. It's not about that anymore, and now I just so enjoy exercising. I look forward to it every single day because it genuinely brings me so much joy, and it's, again, such a beautiful thing. I love this video. This is just so much happiness in one video. I'm just so happy. 17, I'm better able to love others. There's 2 reasons behind this. 1, now that I have love for myself, I'm able to love others so much better because how you respect yourself, how you view yourself definitely changes the way that you're able to love other people. I have seen a huge change in my relationships with other people solely because of my confidence in myself, but also because I'm not constantly focusing on myself and constantly in my head thinking about what I'm going to eat next. I'm able to love others better because I'm able to give them my full attention and actually worry about someone outside myself for more than 5 seconds. You know, before it was all about me, what I was going to eat next. I couldn't give my attention to other people because I was too worried about myself, and now that I have learned to love myself and to cope with those negative emotions and cope with that anxiety and cope with that constant stress inside of my mind, I'm able to give love and attention to other people. It's not always about me, and when you have a mental illness and you're struggling in that way, it's so easy to feel like it just is your whole world and that there's nothing else in the whole world that matters except for what you eat and what you put into your body and what you look like, when that's not true. That's not what life is about. And I'm finally able to take a step back from that mentality and actually focus on bigger, better things, actually focus on other people. 18, I'm able to find out who I really am underneath the mental illness, underneath the stress, underneath the anxiety, and underneath the hunger. I never felt like myself during my eating disorder. I never knew what my mood was going to be. I felt so out of control. I didn't know any of my hobbies. I didn't know what I was passionate about. All I knew was food. That's all I knew. That was my life. That's all I cared about. And ever since choosing recovery, I've been able to actually dive into what makes me outside of my body and outside of the food that I put into my body. That literally doesn't mean anything to me anymore. That doesn't show who I am. That doesn't say anything about my character. And now I know that I'm so much more than that. It's crazy that I went so many years thinking that that was all I had to offer in this world, when now that has nothing to do with my potential. That has nothing to do with my worth. I'm so much more than my body. I'm so much more than the food that I put into my body. And I'm finally able to figure out who the heck I am, who the heck I want to be, because I can focus on things outside of myself, how I can help other people, how I can be the best contributor to a better, more just world. The true self that has been underneath all of these lies that I've believed for so long, underneath all of this conditioning that I've believed for so long, I've been able to tear back the layers and actually find what is there, what's been there all along that I was just so blind to for so long because I wasn't letting myself have a voice. There was this other voice in my head that I was constantly believing, and I'm finally able to find my voice again and actually speak my truth. And it's such a beautiful thing. Say it with me. It's such a beautiful thing. 19, freedom. Freedom from being under watchful eye, freedom from being controlled by my own mind, from living in fear. Yeah, a lot of freedom has come from choosing recovery, not just food freedom, not just being able to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, but freedom from my own mind and from this voice inside of my head that was controlling me for years and years and years, and that I thought would always be there for the rest of my life and that I would have to live for the rest of my life. But now the voice isn't even there. Like, the voice in my head is my voice now, and I can actually live the way that I want to live and do what is best for me and know that it's all going to be okay because we're going to make it work. I have so much freedom and so much room to grow and so much room to play around and explore and just figure out who the heck I am. And also, I mentioned freedom from being under watchful eye because I did not enjoy having to go to therapy every single week. I did not enjoy having to go to a nutritionist every single week and all these doctor's appointments to make sure that I was continuing to gain weight and make sure that I was continuing to work on these things. I'm so grateful and so privileged that I got those opportunities and I had the resources to get the help that I needed. But I am not going to lie and say that I enjoyed that process. Even though it was such a privilege, I did not enjoy it at all. It was so difficult, and I just wanted everyone to leave me alone, even though that's not what I actually needed, but that's what I wanted. I wanted to just hide away and just go into a dark hole and not have everyone worrying about me and questioning me all the time and asking me how I'm doing and checking on me. And I know that it sounds crazy saying it, you know, I didn't want all these people caring for me so much, but I didn't. I just hated, again, being in that spotlight for that reason. I did not like it. I didn't want people to have to worry about me. So I also have freedom from being under this watchful eye and having others constantly checking in on me, making sure I was doing what I needed to be doing. Now I can do what I know I need to do, and other people don't have to worry about me. They don't have to check on me because I'm good, and they trust that I know what to do now and that I will do it because I've proved that to them. The last reason I wrote down for why you should choose recovery is that you will get to experience life outside of the fear of food. And I know that's literally what recovery is. It's mending your relationship with food so that you are no longer being controlled by it. But when you are in the midst of an eating disorder, you don't even realize that that's not what life has to be. You know, when you're in the middle of it, it feels like that's how it's always going to be. That's how it has to be because that is what your life is. That's what your existence seems to be for. But you have to remember that there's so much more to life than that. I know that it seems like that's all there is and that that's your whole world because it is right now, but one day you're going to be able to live for something other than food, and you're going to be able to enjoy your passions, find your passions, and be able to live a life that you're really, really, really happy with. All of recovery is such a beautiful thing. It's not an easy thing, but I think that you have to hold on to those days few and far between when it feels just a little bit easier, when it feels just a little bit lighter. You have to hold on to those wins because, you know, it will feel like there's a lot of losses and it will feel like there's a lot of defeat, but if you just hold on to those moments, they'll become more and more frequent, and eventually that will be your new normal, and it will be so amazing, and you'll be so much more confident because you'll be doing what is best for you, and that's really what we all need to do, and maybe we will live happier life. I hope that this video was helpful in some way. I hope, again, that you know that you're not alone and that recovery will be worth it. It will be hard, I'm not gonna lie to you. It will be very, very hard, but it will be so, so, so worth it, and you will be a better person and you will have a better life on the other side of it. I strongly, strongly, strongly believe that. I just gave you 20 reasons to believe that, and I hope that at least for today that was enough motivation for you to do what you know you need to do to continue to get better. So thank you so much for watching this video. I love you so much. My DMs are always open if you want to talk to me. I love hearing your stories, and I love talking through things with y'all because that's all I want to do. I just want to be here for y'all. That's why I made this YouTube channel, and that's why I make these videos. I love you so much. I will see you next week.